Now, in today's video, we are going to see IOC and DI. That means inversion of controls and dependency injection. So basically, those both features are comes under the sub framework of core framework, and that core framework is the framework which is comes from framework that is our spring framework. That means there is a main framework is a spring framework, and spring framework containing a core framework, and core framework containing the functionality of IOC and DI. So let's see what is the importance or what we use to DI and IOC. Before we are using DI and IOC, there are some more frameworks like our Chevrolet or JSP. When we are using those framework, that time suppose we are using many more classes, because in Java is object oriented. That's why we have to create much more classes and objects within each other, and we have to use the different methods from one class to another class for their achieving functionality. That's why we are have to create a multi more many object and classes. Suppose there is a two classes, class A and class B, and I have to use the property of methods from class B to the class A. That means that my class A is dependent on class B. So even I am create for that dependency, I have to create the object of class B into the class A, and after creating object, I have to call that method of class B in a class A. So that is the process of creating a object and calling the method from class B to class A. So major disadvantage is that by the creating that object, that time we are using a new keyword for creating that object. That's why it's allocates some extra memory, and it's actually dependence. That means it depends, class A is depends on class B. That's why it's become a tightly coupled. That means whenever we are create any change in a class B, that directly impact on class A. Change in if you are changing any method in class A, it directly depends on impacts on class A's method. So in Java, we have to avoid those things. That's why we are using an insertion in the we are using a IOC and DI. That means dependency injection. So we are create an undependent uh, classes for it's improving their performance. So suppose for creating this, we are using a insertion. We are using a dependency injections. For dependency injection, we have to create. In our same example, there is a class A is dependent on class B. So that in that case, we are not directly creating object of class B into the class A. That time we only giving those responsibility to the string to do the conversion without using a or without creating an object. That time that that B object can by using a annotation and by using an XML file, that data can be transferred, or that file that method can be called within a class A. That's why that means it's create a loosely coupling. That means there is a not a direct dependency on each other. If we are make any change in class B, that does not affect on class A. That means it is an independence. So we are achieving that independency. For um, dependent injection sync, we are using two methods for it. One of those is by using setters and getters, and another method is by using a constructor. By using these two methods, we are achieving the dependency injection. So what is IOC? The whole process we are seeing, that whole structure we are called as IOC. That whole structure of our DI is called as IOC. That means um, dependency injection is the functionality which is given by the IOC. Okay, so whole method that is including in IOC. IOC can our dependency injection can only create the our IOC can create the object internally. That means it's create the object dynamically as per their requirement. We are only passing their annotation in class B. It dynamically create their object and passing to the class A. So that time that time we are not need to create physically object in class A. We only convey the our authority of creating object. That means inversion of control. That means we are passing the control toward the string. That string itself can spring. That spring itself can create the object of class B into the class A, that is achieved by it. And after that, that IOC can perform the uh, creation of object operation, and that operation can and that method can be inject into the class A by using dependency injection. This overall happened within our dependency injection and IOC. So in our complete framework, in our complete project, there are some layers are there. Some layers like our interface layer is there. After that interface layer, there is the next layer is a business logic layer. After that business logic layer, there is a one more layer, that is our data access layer. That data access layer can connect it to our database. That means it fetch the data from database, and that access layer can be had. So in that case, we have to transfer data from our data access layer to the logic layer. That time we are not directly creating object between them. We are only passing the annotation or XML file or to the that particular methods. That means what we are need within that methods, we only pass that annotation to that particular class. It directly pass that data or pass that method automatically by using string. So that is the inbuilt function within the string. That is the flow actually, and it works by itself. That means as per their requirement, we are passing that annotation or XML file to that data, or we are filing the pojo, giving the pojo to that particular classes for the requirement of their objects and methods. It will be transfer the data automatically. So by using that by using our IOC, we are achieving the loose coupling. As we see, uh, as we see in the previous video, difference in between loose coupling and tight coupling. So we can achieve the loose coupling, and our code or project will be light in weight. That means we are easily able to any change in any method by that, because of that loose coupling, that any class or method can be changed, does not affected on another class or another methods. That is the loose coupling, which is achieved by IOC and DI. That means our dependency injection. So this is all over about IOC and DI. Thank you.
कोणी प्रश्न होते रे आता मी नाही दिली माझ्या बसलं तीन कोडिंग तर शिकून दिलं का कोडिंग ती नाही अरे मला एकाने एसक्यूएल बोलवलेला एसक्यूएल सगळं सगळं आउटपुट